Welcome back to the Dark Reading News Desk at RSA 2023. Terry Sweeney here with Dark Reading, and joining us now is Yinon Costica, Vice President of Product and co-founder of Wiz Security. Yinon, thanks for joining us here on the Dark Reading News Desk.
Thank you for having me.
We're talking about CNAPP and the future of cloud security and silo breaking.
Yeah.
Definitions is always a great place to start. For viewers who aren't familiar with this acronym, CNAPP, CNAPP, tell us a bit about what that stands for, what it does, and maybe even some of the reasons that we're hearing and seeing so much about it.
Yeah, so CNAPP stands for Cloud Native Application Protection Platform. So it's a 5-letter acronym, and basically it stands for the consolidated view of doing cloud security for the applications you build internally. So any organization starts developing more to the cloud, and as they do so, there are many questions like, are we configuring the cloud correctly? Are we configuring the workload correctly? Are we configuring identities, networking? All of these questions arise. In the past, basically what happened is that every single question had a different tool, and you have found yourself with dozen tools. Each one is really good at one thing, but then again the question is, am I really secured on my cloud applications? And that's where CNAPP comes in, right? So CNAPP consolidated all of these siloed tools. These were like many 4-letter acronyms like CSPM, DSPM, CIEM, container security, serverless security, consolidated everything under one roof. And the concept is really to provide organizations with a very easy way to identify risks, remediate them across their cloud environments.
I appreciate that you use the word consolidated.
Yeah.
Integration has gotten a mostly bad rap, right? It sounds complicated and expensive. This is, I think, what a lot of customer organizations think about. So it sounds like we're talking about quite a bit of consolidation under an umbrella.
Yeah, I think it's a great point. I think there is a misconception in the market that if you bring two tools together and you sell them together, then it makes an integrated solution. But guess what? It doesn't. In order to build like a consolidated platform, you actually need to have, of course, one experience, one data layer, but then once you have this single data layer, you can also reason over the data altogether. So basically where CNAPP comes in is that it allows us not only to scan for the different problems that we may find in the cloud, it also allows us to consolidate the signal, reason over it, and then prioritize it in a way that is really identifying where are the actual risks that we need to tackle. And I think that's the key, because if you have like a suite approach, well, maybe you have all of the components, but you don't really unlock the value. And when you see that the accuracy in the findings that you can get to, that drives a whole different behavior.
Gartner recently reported that between now and 2026, some 80% of enterprises expect to reduce the number of cloud-native application vendors that they're working with. Curious from your perspective, does that align with what you're seeing, and why is that happening?
Yeah, actually Gartner predicted it will go from 10 on average today to 3 in just 3 years. Basically, this is massive consolidation, and the reason is that in the end, the moment you start developing the application to the moment you operate it in the cloud, you want to have a single policy. You want to have a consistent policy, right, that would actually allow you to build it more securely and then also make sure it's secured in the runtime. And I think that this need to have this end-to-end view, this drives a consolidation. And also, of course, we live today in a different economic environment and a much more pragmatic aspect by security teams. Security teams want to get pragmatic. It's not about getting like the shiniest new tool to find this edge corner problem, right? You want to basically be able to run a cloud security program that is consistent, that it has like organization scale, right? And that's exactly the type of needs that drive this consolidation. So you can manage one single tool that will get your policy set up, will cover any cloud that you use, any architectures that you use, and will prioritize the risk globally so everyone in the organization will know exactly what are the risks that they need to fix right now that are most prioritized.
Sure, this is the silo busting that we alluded to earlier.
Exactly. Siloed solutions, I think the security industry as a whole, it's not like a cloud security. I think it's general to security. The siloed approach that we were used to in the security markets, like one tool for one problem, I think this is actually being replaced with a platform approach. So I have one way to do cloud security. I have one way to do network security. I have one way to do endpoint protection, right? So all of these are now consolidating in order to provide this end-to-end experience and value to secure them.
Shifting gears slightly, in a lot of customer organizations, there's an ongoing tension between security teams and development teams. For all the innovation that cloud has brought to the table, it hasn't really addressed this much. I'm curious why you think that is, and if there's anything that might make a difference.
Yeah, actually, I think that one of the things we see with Wiz is actually the ability to create a new cloud operating model that actually addresses this exact friction that is created between security and the dev team. The reason why it happens is that in the end, the business wants to move fast, right? Cloud allows them to build faster than ever before, but not only that, it allows them to incorporate technologies faster than ever before. And to traditional security teams, this, of course, increases the attack surface. They need to look at, okay, how do we use this tool securely? What are the baselines? Is it secure to be used at all, right? And basically, I think that this agility, and also when you look at how heterogeneous the environment is in terms of different clouds, different architectures. So this, of course, creates a lot of friction with security teams that need to scrutinize every single technology because they simply cannot keep up. Let alone with the pace of delivery. And this is where I think solutions that provide you with unconditional visibility. So Wiz is API driven, you connect it to your cloud environment, it gives you full visibility, you know exactly who is using what. It also gives you all of the out-of-the-box baselines and best practices. So you know what you need to do to secure this technology and that architecture and this cloud. And then basically you can keep up with the pace of the business by using like a cloud-native security solution. And I think that this is on the tech side. The other thing that is really important is a democratization of the security processes. And by democratization, I mean that if you are one security team, central, and you think you're going to fix all of the security issues across all of the cloud environments, guess what? It's not going to scale. And this is where we really have to be able to democratize the risks and the security processes back to the teams. So we need to think as organizations, as security organizations, how am I enabling every single development team to pick up on their risks, understand them, fix them, and next time avoid them?
Well, this also addresses the argument that if you impose too much security controls on the development team, you stifle innovation, you make the organization less competitive. I mean, you've heard all these arguments.
Yeah, exactly. You need to move at the pace of the business, even as a security team. And I think security has come a long way when you think about the industry in terms of, in terms of supporting the business and enabling the business to move faster. I think this is key to how we're thinking about how we do security today versus how we did security, a decade ago. And of course, we need to enable the business first.
I wanted to ask you about a regular pain point that shows up in dark reading user surveys, which is multi-cloud management. Yeah. I mean, this is an ongoing challenge for everybody in the equation, of course. Does CNAPP offer any help to enterprises that are struggling here?
Yeah, I think the main thing that CNAPP offer is a cloud agnostic way to represent the risk. So let's say I have, the most common risk in the cloud is an exposed bucket, but in Azure it's exposed service storage account, and in GCP it's a bit different, right? I want to be able to basically unify and basically have a cloud agnostic way to represent a risk of a data resource that is publicly exposed, right? And I think this ability of CNAPP to really abstract the underlying architecture from the risk representation is what drives simplicity, right, in the way we understand problems. That's one thing. The second thing that is really important is the ability to trace an attack path end to end. And so it's not only like a singular risk. It's about the ability to combine the pieces together and say, 1 plus 1 plus 1 actually equals 10 in terms of the impact. And this is where with, for instance, we use a graph technology in order to correlate all of the dots and really describe an attack path across vulnerabilities, misconfigurations, exposures, identities, across any cloud and any architecture you use. So it helps really to simplify that process of am I really at risk? Why? What do I need to fix? And it creates a very simple way to describe it across any cloud. So definitely, this is one of the key elements that should be vital to have in a CNAPP.
You know, real briefly, I'm wondering if you have any advice or recommendations for customers looking at the CNAPP concept. What kind of questions should they be asking themselves?
One, does it cover all of your environments? Second, does it help you prioritize a risk effectively? And three, does it help you to enable every single developer to the cloud to do the right thing tomorrow? So these are the three questions I would ask.
Good stuff. Great insight on this emerging consolidating technology. I appreciate you joining us today on Dark Reading News Desk.
Thank you very much. This was great.
We've been talking with Yinon Costica of Wiz. This has been Terry Sweeney for the Dark Reading News Desk. Thanks for joining us for this segment. We'll see you next time.